I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Today, we in Australia live in a multicultural society. Together with a growing awareness of the significance of Aboriginal spirituality, we rub shoulders with those of various faiths: Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, Muslim and Jewish. These people are our close neighbours. How then, in our contemporary society, are we to make sense of these words? I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Well, for a very long time, our Christian ancestors took it for granted that Christianity was the only way. They lived in lands where everyone was either Christian or supposed to be, and they seldom, if ever, had contact with people of other religions. The only exception was in cities where there was a Jewish population, but Jews then were considered as having rejected Jesus as the only way. In such a situation, it was easy to take it for granted that Jesus and Christianity were the only way of salvation. And there are still Christians today who continue to believe that Jesus is the only way of salvation. So way back in the first century, what did Christians actually mean? What do they actually mean when they declared that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life? Well, scholars explain that these words testify to the experience of Jesus' followers. In other words, these followers of Jesus had experienced salvation, liberation, deliverance, healing and wholeness through Jesus. And from this experience came the exclamation, "He is the way." So this statement is the language of experience. But in addition to it being the language of experience, this statement is also the language of love. For example, grandparents talking about their first grandchild. Oh, you might hear them say, "It's the most beautiful baby in the world." Or perhaps when a person might say about his or her partner, "She or he is the most beautiful person in the world." When they make these statements, they're not making factual statements, which everyone would necessarily agree with. Rather, what is being used here is the language of love and devotion. So this language in John's Gospel is the language of experience, it's the language of love, but it goes further than that. This language also makes a claim. So how are we to understand this claim? Well, one very common way of understanding this claim is that you have to know about and believe Jesus, and that you must know about and believe in the Christian message. In other words, it's the only possible way. But nowadays, This way of seeing things has become increasingly unpersuasive. Nowadays, many of us actually know people of other religions. We actually know that all religions, including Christianity, are particular historical responses to the experience of the sacred, of the mystery that we refer to as God or Spirit. And they reflect the cultures in which they originated. How then can any of them truthfully proclaim itself to be the only way? Is there a way forward? Is there a way of understanding John 14, verse 6, which does not involve Christian exclusivism? I believe there is. And scholars tell us that the key is the realization that John's gospel is what they call the incarnational gospel. What this means is that in the Gospel of John, Jesus embodies what can be seen of God in a human life. Therefore, to say Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life is to say what we see in Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. It's not about knowing and believing in what is said about Jesus that is the way. Rather, the way is what we see in Jesus' life. And what we see is a life of loving God and loving others and of challenging the powers which oppress the world. Now for a key question. Can one actually know the way, the truth, and the life apart from Jesus? Well, for me, the answer is yes. And not everyone sees it this way, I admit, but certainly for me and a growing number of other people, the answer is yes. We all tend toward describing our own tradition as the way, completely missing the way that the true way goes beyond culture and linguistic presuppositions. When Jesus said that he is the way, the truth, and the life, he didn't mean join Jesus' team or perish. He meant that peace is the way, and the way is peace. Non-violence is the way. Love is the way. Mercy is the way. Compassion is the way. The Buddhist mystics say this. The Muslim mystics say this. The Sikh mystics say this. The Baha'i mystics say this. The Jewish mystics say this, and incidentally, the Christian mystics say this. All the enduring major world religions all include lovers of God, the Spirit, ultimate reality, as well as saints, in whom we can see the way, the truth, and the life. All the great world religions are concerned with liberation, enlightenment, and fulfillment. And each of these great world religions proceeds to point out a path of life which leads to liberation and away from self-centeredness, to becoming more fully human and to fulfilling our full human potential. But for those of us who are Christians, we see the way and the truth and the life preeminently in Jesus. Jesus is our way, our truth, our life. So let us keep this in mind and realize that life isn't about converting others to your particular religion. Life is about living in such a way that we move humanity from suffering and into the kingdom of heaven here on earth. Shalom, salam, namaste. Peace be with you all. Amen.